Ladies and gentlemen, Republicans are worried, and they're worried because they know that President Trump is the only person capable of getting 74 million Americans to vote for him. Mitt Romney is not. Ben Sasse is not. Kinzinger is not. Cheney is not. There's nobody in the Republican Party. President Trump has accomplished great things. One of the reasons, the most important reason, the primary reason I voted for President Trump is because he negotiated a deal to get us out of America's longest-running military conflict. On May 1st, 2021, we were supposed to leave a country we've been in for 20 years, and we owe better to the men and women of our country. We owe better than to just send them to counterinsurgency conflicts that have no clear definition of victory and leave them there forever. And that is the greatest moral dilemma we face as a country. Not climate change, which is important, yes. That's not an existential issue in the manner that never-ending counterinsurgency quagmires are. If you if you say, well, that's not true, climate change could lead to the end of the planet. You want to know what else could lead to the end of the planet? Putting a whole bunch of nuclear-armed countries in one location, in one powder keg, which is what President Obama did when he sent Americans off to even more countries than the Bush administration, which was the worst administration of all time. But President Trump negotiated a deal on May 1st, 2021 to remove Americans from our longest-running counterinsurgency conflict. And President Biden now has stated that he's going to move that date until September, but it's going to be an unconditional withdrawal. I hope he abides by that promise. The only reason he's doing so is not because of the Lincoln Project, not because of Hillary Clinton, because of Donald J. Trump. That's the only reason Biden is doing that. The only reason, okay? That is a victory from President Trump. And that's not an example of somebody just saying, well, yeah, you're giving Trump credit for what's taking place in Biden's administration. Biden voted to get us there. Biden and the Democratic Party had the Lincoln Project people who were the Bush, Cheney, and Rumsfeld neoconservative ideologues. They're the ones who want regime changes and interventions. Biden pushed for Libya along with President Obama or he presided over the destruction of that country in a failed NATO intervention, which was worse than anything that took place in President Trump's administration. So anybody who tells you, oh my God, Trump was the worst president of all time, ask them. You actually don't ever talk to anyone with TDS. Don't ever do it. But ask them, is there anything that President Trump did that's worse than what President Obama did in Libya? Ask. And see what they come up with. If you had to further the conversation, I would say just don't talk to that person. Certainly don't get into a discussion on Twitter or Facebook. That is the biggest waste of time. Hit subscribe to this channel right now, ladies and gentlemen. I'm going to give you a unique perspective. You can read my writing in The Hill, The Huffington Post, Salon, The Jerusalem Post, The Federalist, The Daily Caller on hagoodman.com. Go to hagoodman.com right now. You'll see my debates. If you want to support my voice long term, my Patreon is below. Ladies and gentlemen, I'll put this Politico article below. Republicans pray for truce after Trump goes after McConnell. The two Republicans could be serving together in fewer than 4 years. Look at that. Trump 2024. Even Politico says, hey, that's a good possibility. But not if Trump keeps calling McConnell a dumb... Okay, see, this is the thing. And one of my amazing subscribers said, well, HA, you're laughing at everything Trump is saying and you're enjoying it, but then you're saying that you want him to tone it down. Ladies and gentlemen, we've reached a point of diminishing returns with insults from President Trump. They're funny, but they don't. Every time he goes after a Republican, yes, it proves a point. But see, he needs to start playing the game of politics the way Democrats play. They have a finely tuned political machine. Anyone who falls out of line is instantly a Russian operative. And media also backs up the theory in the most absurd manner. So when Hillary Clinton, when Tulsi Gabbard stood up the Democratic Party, Madam Secretary is interviewed, and she said, "Well, they're grooming somebody." Okay, these are tinfoil hat theories. Nobody says baseless claim. Clinton makes a baseless claim against Tulsi Gabbard. Fact check. Fact check. You never get the instant media reaction because media is in the tank for one political side. So you get this, there's no evidence at all. It's completely baseless. Then you get the most duplicitous, disingenuous, and conniving response. Well, she didn't name Tulsi Gabbard specifically. She just said somebody. Well, we already know that she meant Tulsi Gabbard. Other people on social media take it up because Twitter is a place where baseless claims on the left foster and build a life of their own, like Trump working with Russia, or like Trump pressuring Zelensky, or like Trump speaking subliminally to really bad people. Again, President Trump does not have media on his side. He had 92% negative media coverage. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. But if it's broke, fix it. He needs to find a way, in my view, in my humble view. And people saying, you weren't president, were you? No, I wasn't. I'm not a billionaire. Okay, but I think you and I watching this can see, even if you disagree with me or if you agree with me, we can all see that what President Trump is doing helped him become president in 2015 and 2016. Did not help him at all. He fell into numerous traps in the last year of his presidency. Media is firmly on the side of one political party. When historians look at President Trump, and when I told you about the withdrawal of Americans, that's just one of Trump's many accomplishments. Abraham Accords, peace between Israel, UAE, Bahrain, Morocco. This is a great thing. Okay, you had countries that didn't have formal relationships. Now they do. In a region of the world where diplomacy needs to flourish. Okay, that's a great, wonderful thing. The rebuttal is, well, they were never in military conflict with each other. Yeah, but still, you're bringing countries closer together in a region of the world where they weren't close. That's a good thing. You foster economic ties, political ties. That's good. Same with being the first president to set foot in North Korea, to begin détente between North and South Korea. President Moon Jae-in told Biden's administration to continue Trump's foreign policy. He also stated that Trump deserved the Nobel Peace Prize. Okay, these are things that are grandiose accomplishments Trump got zero credit for because his Twitter profile dominated any discussion of Trump. And so when you hear these historians say, oh, Trump is historically bad, you're not dealing with an objective media. You're not dealing with a media that's even remotely objective. Before recent memory, before the past 5, 6, 7 years, ladies and gentlemen, you're probably older than 40 years old if you're watching this. If you look at the demographics, it's 40 and over that watch this channel. Okay, generally, I have some viewers, amazing viewers in their 20s, 30s, but a lot of viewers well over 40. You remember the way media was. You remember whether it was Walter Cronkite or Ted Koppel or Peter Jennings. They didn't care who won. They had no skin in the game. They didn't care if Democrats won or Republicans won. In 2000, if 2000 were happened today with Bush v. Gore and Bush winning last second and Gore being named the person who won and then suddenly losing last second or what, it would be 5 panelists. Experts say this is a horrible thing. Experts say that Putin was involved. Experts say a study was shown that showed, and experts back the study, and the study backed by experts was backed by a Republican panel that said that Trump cheated and he did so with it, and we need the FBI to investigate it. It would never have that didn't happen. In today's world, everything is politicized. Democrats ask the experts that agree with them. They cite the studies that help them. They ignore the studies that refute their claims. They don't even bother to find experts that disagree with them. There's no actual discussion. Everything is a quick soundbite, and you get this hysteria that is manufactured very easily. And President Trump doesn't realize that. And he's still doing the same thing over and over again. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. But if it's broke, fix it. So this Politico article is talking about how President Trump pretty much runs the Republican Party, but the Republicans are at his mercy in a way. And they're praying for a truce because you have McConnell. McConnell will be loyal to Trump. Pence will be loyal to Trump. Nikki Haley will be loyal to Trump. All of them will be. Mitt Romney and Ben Sasse will be loyal to Trump if, now listen, ladies and gentlemen, if you give them a political incentive to do so. Now, Romney and Ben Sasse and others, it might be impossible. But you can give a political incentive to people. You need to give some kind of political incentive other than, well, I don't like you. These are politicians. They do things for their own political objectives. They don't do things for ideology or loyalty. That maybe you'll find a handful that actually truly believe in, certain ideologies, whether it's left or right in the Congress. But these people are political in nature. That's why when AOC, when it was Trump, look what's taking place in the border is objectively worse than at any point in Trump's administration. There's more people. It's being overrun. The facilities are overrun. It's so bad that there's a media blackout, and the Biden administration won't allow them. Even CNN is saying, well, yeah, they're preventing us from really investigating what's going on. There's no apoplectic reaction. There's no hysterical reaction. There's no moral grandstanding. There's no soapbox lecturing. There's no nothing. There's no AOC looking into a chain link fence without knowing what she's looking at. Yad Vashem had to refute her revisionist and distorted historical claims by saying, yeah, don't equate what's taking place there with a time period you should never again speak about. I wrote about that in the Jerusalem Post. Read my op-ed about AOC in the Jerusalem Post. It's on hagoodman.com. Where is AOC and others? Where's their lecturing? I'm talking about grandstanding. I'm not talking about just a little critique. This is how Democrats and left-leaning people get away with their duplicity. Well, we do critique. No. You don't just critique Trump. You focused every fiber of your being in trying to paint him as a villain. Why don't you do the same thing to Biden when something that's worse is taking place? Worse. And you have a Senate report during President Obama's administration that I can't even talk about on YouTube that was worse than anything that happened during President Trump's administration, and I was against family separation. I think that's a terrible, horrendous policy. He ended it in May of 2018, June or May or June of 2018. Okay, the Democratic voters didn't realize that, 2018, 2019, 2020, that policy wasn't in existence. Okay. President Obama had a policy, and they say, well, it wasn't a policy. It was a policy. It happened under President Obama's administration that was worse. And that was a Senate report. And that Senate report could possibly correlate to what's taking place now. But again, I can't talk about these things. You have to do the research. It's the United States Senate. It's not difficult. It's public record. There's even a New York Magazine article on it. And so you have an unaccompanied young people, and you have an influx of people, and you have, AOC doesn't, she's relegated her concern to semantics, which is what they live within, semantics and nomenclature, and it's, Democrats are a philosophy of language course that in some kind of dystopian world. Oh, you can't say this, you can't say that. Well, it's worse now. You want to do something about it? Oh, no. You can't say this, you can't say that. No, they're happier. They're happy, very happy. Look, it's not cages, it's facilities. There's nice walls. There's decorations. There's no cages anymore. Yeah, it's the same thing, actually. Same facilities. You might have put up some decorations, but it's actually overrun now. You have less resources now, and you have more people. What do you think happens? Do you want to be in a situation where you're overcrowded? They made a whole issue about the bathrooms. Oh my God, did you see? What do you think's taking place now with those facilities when they're overrun with people? And no one's talking about it. But see, again, President Trump, like they say, oh, his approval rating, Biden's approval rating is pretty good after 100 days or what. He gets universal favorable treatment. They know there's no hit pieces on him. There's nothing. All of Hollywood, all of Twitter, all of social media, everything. Oh my God! All the major news stations, Washington Post, New York Times. Oh, he's doing great. He's doing horribly. He wants to raise taxes now. This is a good thing. There are now problems left and right. We have more problems now objectively than we did during President Trump's administration. I'm not talking about like the pandemic was. The Democratic Party governors botched the pandemic. It wasn't just one person, Trump. He told states to handle it the way they wanted to, basically. And then he had press conferences with the nation's top expert. And that didn't... Cuomo is still in charge of New York now, and he ended the lives, essentially, of 15,000 New Yorkers by putting infected people in the elderly care facilities. That's not Trump's fault. But objectively, things are taking place that are worse now. Worse. And nothing's being said. So, of course, his media... This is actually the power of Trump, really. I mean, you have 74 million Americans, and you had almost universally negative media coverage. Now you have, I guess, they say, oh, his approval rating is pretty good. Yeah, they don't go after him. They don't even report the negative stories. So anyway, hit subscribe to this channel right now. I'll be back numerous times today. President Trump should just switch up the manner in which he calls out certain people and build bridges, alliances, coalitions, whatever you want to call it. Give me your thoughts.